The latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. Africans are not tired of these people who always come projecting themselves to be saints. And they love us and they're doing everything possible to protect us. According to one of our own, the United States of America projected itself to the world to be a nation that is democratic, and that is why they are forcing other people to be democratic. Yet these same people are not allowing us to be democratic, because when we say democracy, it involves everybody. But here lies the case. Africans are not involved. These people sit down and dictate to the African who we should partner with, what we should even do with our own resources. They decide what happens in Africa. That after they have done all these things to us, unaliving our leaders who rose up to fight for our freedom, that the same people built their nation on our sweat, on slavery, on atrocities, on people's life and blood, are the ones that are here preaching democracy to us. That when did they start being democratic? That we can never say we are practicing democracy when we are not involved. We know what democracy means to these people. Their democracy is for them to suppress Africa. Their democracy is for them to keep us poor, to always use our natural resources to benefit them. That is what their democracy is all about.
Many of our leaders in Africa and other parts of the world, the killers of Patrice Lumumba, those who toppled Kwame Nkrumah, those who killed Nasser, those who killed Muammar Gaddafi, today are coming to teach us about democracy. A country that has been built on brutal force, on enslavement of other human beings, on the humiliation of Africans, the exploitation of Africans, the plunder of Africa, today is coming to teach us about democracy. That's the arrogance. In a truly fair, free and peaceful world, democracy takes many forms of expression, not only one. I believe democracy is a government in which all the people participate, in which the interests of the people reign supreme, in which their country's sovereignty, their country's honor is at the top. It seems this month is a month of democracy discourse in the world. At the end of this month, there will be a conference in Lusaka, or a summit in Lusaka, Zambia, my country, led by the United States. They have come to Southern Africa to teach us democracy. A country that was opposed to our liberation, a country that supported colonial regimes, the apartheid regime in South Africa, the white racist minority regime in Zimbabwe, now Rhodesia, now Zimbabwe, the Portuguese colonial governments in Mozambique, in Angola, in Guinea-Bissau, and Cape Verde, today is coming to Africa to teach us about democracy. A country that has toppled so many governments in Africa, that has led so many coups in Africa and other parts of the world, the imperialist arrogance, the racist arrogance that we are subjected to. We cannot have democracy where there is hegemony of the strongest, mightiest imperialist power. We cannot have democracy where a country's resources, a country's decisions are dictated to by another country. A country that is dominated by another country cannot be democratic. A country that lacks sovereignty cannot be democratic. A people that cannot decide for themselves cannot be democratic. A colony, a neo-colony cannot be democratic. That's why today, even at the United Nations, membership is on the basis of sovereignty. Only sovereign nations can be members of the United Nations, because only sovereign nations can decide for themselves. A colony cannot be a member of the United Nations. It's not by accident. It's not a mistake. If you have no respect for the dignity of others, if you have no respect for the sovereignty of other countries, you cannot claim to be a champion of democracy. They used to say, all roads lead to Rome. Today we can confidently say, all roads to progress, all roads to what is better for humanity lead to Beijing. This is a country, this is a people that have developed themselves, that has developed itself without colonizing any country in the world, without plundering any country in the world, without subjugating any people in the world. This is a country that is developing with maximum respect for others, for their history, for their cultures, and recognizes the diversity that is there in civilization. We were only taught one form of civilization, one form of modernization. That was the Western way. Westernness was a measure of how civilized, how modern you are. We reject that. We reject it because it's not correct. We reject it because it's undemocratic. We reject it because it's uncivilized to think of the world and of other people in that way. Today they cannot accept the fact that China has caught up with them. China is about to surpass them in many areas of human endeavor. The imperialist arrogance is inhibiting them from accepting that reality. The racist arrogance is inhibiting them from accepting that reality. But the world is changing. The changes we are witnessing today, as President Xi said in Moscow recently, or the other day, they have never been seen in 100 years. They have shaped a world that they themselves today are scared of. And they have shaped a world that is not sustainable. Democracy, human development is not sustainable on the basis of plunder, on the basis of enslavement, on the basis of humiliating other people every day.
You can say we are democratic, yet we cannot decide what happens on our soil. When we don't have the sovereignty, when you want to control us from in, out, and everything, then when you finish, you say you want us to practice democracy because you are democratic, when you are dictating to us, when we don't have the right to even choose our partners, when we don't even have the right to decide the prices of our mineral resources, then you say You are practicing democracy. It is high time we wake up from these songs of this democracy that these people always preach to the African. Africans, we are not practicing democracy because these people don't allow us to take decisions on our own. They choose leaders for us. They do everything for us. To the point that even what we should eat, these people are deciding it. And these are the ones that are preaching democracy. When they rose up against our leaders, and they're still rising against our leaders that are fighting for our total freedom, these are the people who said they are democratic and they want democracy to be practiced in Africa. But why must they always decide what kind of system we should be governed with? We are a people of our own and we should have the right to form of leadership that we think is best for us. If they should sit outside of Africa and be imposing democracy on us, that should tell us clearly that these people are dictators. They are dictating to we the Africans. You are not allowing us to have our democratic right, because if we have our democratic right, we will be deciding on things that we think are better and best for us. Why must everybody always sit down and be pointing their fingers on Africa, telling us what is right and wrong? Why must you think that the system that you are practicing that is good for you should be used in Africa? Are we the same as you? Your democracy hasn't done anything meaningful in Africa other than looting the African, exploiting us, keeping us poor. That is what your democracy has done best. It is that democracy that has set us backwards, that today we are where we are. Under that same democracy, we've seen what we have done to our leaders. And you always want to be the angel, pretending to be our saviors. Don't save us. We can save ourselves. We can fight for ourselves. Allow us to be on our own. Enough of the oppression. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world and in Africa.